100,000 people estimated to have attended Charlie Kirk's funeral. Think about that. People flew in from like all over the country, including the President of the United States, to honor Kirk's life and legacy.
Praise you again.
The thing that took me, though, the most was actually Erica's speech.
On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him.
I mean, this one made me pause, folks. I mean, this is something I admire so much about Charlie and his now wife, that they were so deep in their faith, or they are so deep in their faith, that she can actually stand there and forgive the guy that took the life of their children's father. Look, I'm just not that good a person, okay? But it is incredibly admirable that she could stand there and give that speech. This is something that I don't, really process in the same form. I'm not like an organized religious person. I don't seek solace in the church as like an establishment. I believe in God, but not in the traditional, like you have to go to church to practice that religion sort of way. I don't actually think I've ever shared this before, but I don't really like talking about my faith. But this weekend really took me back. It made me really think about it. And over 20 years ago, I used to be a pretty ardent churchgoer. I used to go all the time to Stanwich Church, in which I used to be super involved. I even helped stand up the youth program as early as when I was in high school. They had this youth pastor. I don't even really know why I'm telling you this, but it just like kind of made me reflect on it. And it's been bothering me for 20-something years. They had this youth pastor that pushed me out of the church after I joined the military. And it was something that really turned my faith in organized religion upside down. It was really hard for me at the time. I was pretty committed to the church. Like my mom even volunteered to manage the project to build a new church, volunteered. So it turned me off to this whole organized religion. But I kept my individual faith, and I had really felt let down by like the church as a concept. But this weekend kind of made me think. I really admire people who have this ability to see the good in like all the worst things possible. My father is deep in his faith. He's one of those people. I mean, maybe I'm, calloused from my life experiences, war, or like the amount of hate I get like literally every day sitting in this chair. I just don't have the same capacity for forgiveness like that. But it was like beautiful to see someone with that pure of a heart just forgive the guy. Look, I don't care if you're religious or not. There are aspects of faith that not only bring on self-strength, but like you lose your husband, you have to lean on something. It made me kind of think back to like it was the founding of this country. All but one of the signers were, of the Declaration of Independence were devout church-going members, and it gave us like the most morally founded, most accountable, limited government country in the history of basically ever. They enshrined these rights that they believed they came from a creator, and they were superior to any government, making sure that the government could never restrict any religion. And when they wrote it, they focused on the same moral teachings of Christianity and the Bible rather than the religion itself. It was refreshing to see that reflected in this memorial, like almost like a new faith in humanity. Like I'm envious of that. I just personally don't have, again, that same ability to forgive and see the good in people who do bad things. I just don't. And Trump kind of echoed my sentiment on this.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my speed. Look, I told you I've been through this whole like cancellation gambit where they attack, and like nobody shot at me in this country, but like these people just attack you relentlessly, regardless of what you say. Like, how could someone like Trump not hate their enemy? They tried to lock him up, destroy his business. They shot him in the ear. He almost met the same fate as Trump. Could you imagine where we'd be as a country if they'd actually succeeded in his assassination? You know, and while Trump is he's been pretty faithful to the faith groups and religious groups and things like that. He's probably a lot like me in the sense that he's been humanized by some pretty terrible things. And we're not just interested in letting things go because it never stops. You know, if you just let them have it and you forgive them all the time, I believe that they'll never stop and they'll just keep going until they win. And I think it's okay to hate these people. And Caroline Leavitt was asked about this today.
The president has every right to express how he feels about these people who literally campaigned on trying to put him in jail, who literally tried to ruin his life and ruin his businesses. And he wants to see accountability for those who abuse their office and abuse their power. And Letitia James absolutely did that, whether you want to admit it or not.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's as human as it gets. I mean, that's why I love Trump. At least he's honest about it. Anyone who thinks he's not capable of forgiveness, though, I'd refer you to this. I mean, the two of them, Elon and Trump, seeming to bury the hatchet, shaking hands, laughing, having a good time. I was like, yes, we are so back. I mean, that's forgiveness. But I mean, seriously, though, how many politicians have you seen, especially ones that have probably never seen the inside of a church except for like a campaign photo op? How many have you seen would stand up there and give the PR speech about forgiveness and we got to be good and stuff? Honestly, like, it's a real virtue of Trump to just be brutally honest sometimes. Look, I like him. I'm not burdened by hating somebody like he is. It doesn't bother me. You know, someone who cheers for my assassinations or my friend's assassination, they want to crush my life, take my income. I'm actually totally fine with hating them. And I think that's okay. It's not because I didn't try. After they went after me, I tried to hear them out. I tried to engage in dialogue. They wanted no part in it. Actually, understanding them honestly made me hate them even more. But anybody who knows me, I have this like really small circle of friends, and if you betray my trust, like you are out forever, like stone cold cutoff. You're not coming back into my circle. But the other factor, and I think this was probably the most important contrast to this weekend, the obvious differences between how both political sides honor someone. Here's CNN giving the yeah but speech.
But once again, you hear the president of the United States. He said, you know, the violence is mostly from the left. That is not supported by the data, we should note. And sadly, we see political violence across the spectrum.
No. And if you want to run with that talking point, let's just go by the here and now, okay? How did the left respond when their hero, George Floyd, died of a drug overdose while under the knee of a police officer because he was resisting arrest? Or when Michael Brown was shot while trying to steal the officer's gun? The left rioted. It resulted in over 900 police officers injured, 25 to 40 killed as a result of their chaos, more than $2 billion worth of damages, while BLM extorted companies for millions while their storefronts were being smashed. I love when they complain about officers being injured on January 6th because it was rare. I mean, really rare, but they don't say a word about BLM. But when Kirk was assassinated at a political speech, this is how we responded. 100 million people, it's being reported, at some point viewed this service. That is a third of the country in prayer, consoling each other. The cops were basically just watching the ceremony because there was no threat. There was nothing for them to do in the facility. We'll get to the threat in a little while. So no, CNN, I reject your narrative that the violence is across the spectrum, especially about that. And especially the next time you go into a voting booth, folks. Which side do you want your kids to grow up in? Do you want the left's constant anger, chaos, perpetual resistance over law and order and some unbathed hippies paid to protest government control over everything as, long as they're not in control? Or do you want my side? 250,000 people who had their friend, their icon, their role model killed, and they were singing about unity and about forgiveness. I know where I want my kids growing up.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.